Good evening, everyone. Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Leslie Ureña, and I am Associate Curator of Global Contemporary Art here at MIA, and we are thrilled you could join us this evening for this very special artist lecture in connection with the exhibition, The Shape of Time, Korean Art After 1989, and which was developed by the Philadelphia Museum of Art and will be closing June 23rd. So we are open late today. Please go check it out if you haven't already. Come back at another point if you want to come back and check it out. You have until June 23rd. The exhibition would not have been possible without the commitment and hard work of our curatorial team, including Jennifer Komar-Olivares and our wonderful crew and team of registrars, Yamu Huang, our exhibition designer, our many other colleagues who've been also doing programming, including tonight's event and booking tickets and all the things that are required to make programming and exhibitions happen. So thank you so much to everyone. It has truly been wonderful to have this exhibition here at MIA and to share it with all of our communities. MIA's permanent collection of Asian art represents 17 cultures spanning nearly 5,000 years of human history. And the Shape of Time's focus on contemporary art, contemporary Korean art, complements and highlights MIA's own concerted efforts to present art from across the globe. On behalf of MIA, we wish to recognize and thank our major sponsor, Wells Fargo, our media sponsor, Star Tribune, and the original exhibition supporters, the Pew Center for Arts and Heritage, the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, the Korea Foundation, and many generous individual supporters. As I mentioned, the show closes the 23rd, and I hope you all have a chance to see this first major exhibition of contemporary Korean art in North America in nearly 15 years. It offers a rare opportunity to explore vibrant contemporary art created by 25 artists of Korean descent, introducing us to the past 30 plus years of artistic practice, beginning at a time when South Korea had newly solidified its democracy, showcased itself as an industrialized nation, and broadcasted literally its national pride and identity for the world to see. We are thrilled to welcome one of the artists this evening. Sunkoo Yuh is a professor of art at the Lamar Dodd School of Art at the University of Georgia, Athens. He earned his MFA at New York State College of Ceramics and his BFA at Seoul's Hongik University. Sunkoo was born in 1960 in South Korea and immigrated to the United States in 1988 and now resides in Athens, where he, and as I mentioned, his work is, he's professor at the University of Georgia, and his work is informed by his personal and intimate experiences in everyday life. His ceramic sculptures, as you will see this evening, or you may have already seen in the exhibition, are composed of tight groupings of various forms, including plants, animals, fish, and human figures. While Korean and Buddhist, Christian and Confucian beliefs inform some aspects of his imagery, his work is largely driven by implied narratives that often suggest sociopolitical critiques. He has exhibited widely and has received many awards and honors. He was the recipient of the Joan Mitchell Foundation grant, the grand prize at the Second World Ceramic Biennale International Competition in Icheon, Korea, the Elizabeth R. Raphael Founders Prize, and the Virginia A. Groot Foundation. And his work is in the collection of many museums, including the Renwick at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, the State Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia, the Icheon World Ceramic Center, the International Museum of Ceramic Art, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the Oakland Museum of Art, and many others. This evening, Sunkoo will guide us through his working process and bring us into his artistic journey, in which sculptures are reflections of what we call stacked histories, as he draws from personal experiences and daily encounters. Please join me in welcoming Sunkoo. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie, and welcome everybody tonight. I would like to, show some of my work tonight and from the beginning. to, how it evolves, at this point. And uh, Leslie introduced me. I came here 88 uh, when everybody's, went to Korea to see the Seoul Summer Olympic, but I came here. And the first plan once I graduate, from Korea, the Hongik University, uh, I felt like, I don't know much about it, and I want to experience, more. Then I want to see the world, and I have opportunity to come to the States. I plan for 10 years, and I see the world and meet people and learn more, and want to go back to Korea and set up studio. That was my initial plan. But as you guys know, we planned, but it didn't happen all the time, right? So I'm still here after, 35 years later. But uh, first time I come here, but there's no, many place I can go. I have no connections. And one person who, the Kirk Menges, the ceramic artist, someone who taught at Kent State University. I knew him before I come to the States, and he was the uh, one of the active artists. Have a show, contemporary ceramic American show in Seoul. Then I had a chance to organize a workshop for him. So I called him, and he invite me to his school for 1 year as a special student. So first time in the States, I have opportunity to experience, the American curriculum and American academia. And it was totally different than Korea. And I paid a little bit of tuition. Then I can meet, the people, artists, visiting artists and artists. And also I can use a facility and I can work. And it was a lot different. That's what I really wanted to. So I become a student again in Long Beach, California, as a graduate student. My concern was not degree, but I just wanted to work and understand who am I as an artist, as a human being, and where my work's going to. So at the time, I made a body of work called self-portrait. And then the questions are what I really want to answer is pretty fundamental, but very universal and very hard to answer it. And I was a hardcore, and I was really serious about it. So when I'm looking back my work, uh, I painful when I made that work. It was not light. I was really serious about it. And I met one artist at the time. He was a visiting artist. His name is Jean-Pierre Leroux from Canada. He was a painter, but he converted to ceramic artist, and he demonstrated. He gave me a big lesson. I just encountered him briefly, but I learned a lot from him, which the clay I deals with just material. If I push it and manipulate whatever I want to do, but uh, what he's doing is what I learned from him is he's dealing with the clay, interact with the clay, and he finds something, then he kind of preserve that. So there's a definitely, it's clay is not just that material, it's kind of live material to him. Then it was kind of shocking to me. So as soon as he left, then I mimic him and make a lot of work, which is in a body of work I call self-portrait. And when I looking back, I still don't understand. I still, kind of captured in somewhere. I need freedoms. There's a bird, then but I see the cages, and there's a wound. It's not perfect figure forms, but I looking back this, and it's something like, I tried to do something. All the different building method, I just put it in one sculpture, and also different temperature and whatever I can create and lay out the colors I tried. And from really high temperature to low temperature, and all the foams I hand built and thrown foams on the wheel, and I altered and put it there. And sometimes I made a mold and press mold and put it together. So it's all different techniques there, all different, temperature range of, glazes there. To me, seems like, or sorted, candy jar. I just put it all, everything in there. And sometimes, I find the wings, and which is, you can imagine this, you can fly somewhere. Beautiful place, a good place. You can go, you have a freedom. It's a symbol of, and seems like I'm a magician, I want to be a magician, I guess. And especially this work, I put it in the kiln maybe more than 10 times and try to build something. But still, really painful. I see myself with a butcher knife in front of it and try to convey my emotions and feeling to them. And at the time, uh, empathy was a really big, vocabulary for me. How can I transfer my emotions and feelings to the sculpture, so viewers can kind of get that same feelings and emotions. By the end of the 3 years of the program, I finished it almost every coursework at Cal State Long Beach, but I felt like I still don't know. Then I wanted to extend, and I apply other school, which is New York College of Ceramics, Alfred University, upstate New York, for 2 years. That school is one of the biggest ceramics program they have. They have a 5 faculty members, someone who really well dealings, with both as an artist and also as an educator. They juggle these two things really well. So I want to learn how they manage those things. Then the other factor, in that school, in a long history about glaze calculation and material class they run. And one of the professor, Cushing, was a really famous person. He taught there over 30 years that material and glaze class for artists. So I wanted to build up my own palette. So actually, he helped me in many ways. And I experiment maybe more than 1,000 glaze tests, and I tried to build up my own, palette. And on the top of that, the best thing that happened, we got our first daughter there at the second year. Before that, my questions, and I tried to get an answer, was very universal and very, uh, deep, really hard to get an answer. And I wasn't so serious about it. But as soon as we find out the pregnancy, our new daughter, then I start to understand I can get that answer through the daily mundane life. So everything was there too. So my work was suddenly uh, belighted, and I want to record any impact on my daily issues, and I want to record, such as write a diary every day. I wanted to make work every day. So this is the first work I made, the fertility chicken. We celebrate our pregnancy and every day. I try to make something for my daughter about my family and the work, for my daughter. And the world she's coming out is what does it look like. So there's a missile head and wings and hopes and seed and dead person and mother there and all these images. At the same time, I try to, find some influences from my ancestors. And this is the work I really love, which is the Joseon Dynasty Buncheongware. Joseon Dynasty started from 14th century to early 20th century, about 600 years. And, specific work, this, and produced about 400 years ago. Joseon Dynasty's philosophical pillar is a Confucianism. So the Confucianists really love and admire pure things. So the porcelain was a right, pottery, and blue and white was, for the high class or, loyal family. But as normal people, and they try to make like a porcelain. So it is a gray, stoneware which they apply wisely. And porcelain, they can use it. Also, cobalt was very expensive at the time. So only official, then kiln sites they using cobalt, but and normal people they can use this red iron oxide at rust iron. They grind it and draw these images. I've been, love this pottery for long times. And what I really curious about that is this made 400 years ago, but still in contemporary viewers, it's not outdated at all. And especially if you understand the potter at the time, the craftsman at the time, it was not high class. There's a social hierarchies there in the Joseon dynasty, but the potter, craftsman, was a really lower class, like a slave. So they might don't like their social status, but I wonder, how can they make this kind of a work, longevity of art, And as an artist, probably everybody looking for that. That's a kind of fundamental desire. Our lives, maybe if you live long, maybe 100 years, but every artist probably wants to their arts live longer than their lives. So I want to learn, if they can, transcend their social status and make this kind of work, then I want to learn some elements and I want to make some good work. I mean, that's my desires. Everybody's desire, I think. And the other types of work I really admire is fork painting, which is same Joseon dynasty. This is a little bit late back 17th to 19th century fork painting, which is someone who drew these things never trained as a painter. Probably one of the villagers, someone who drew better than the other. And Korea has a long winter and cold winter, and their door is not really, secure. Then there's always cold winds coming in. Then, people put screens in front of that, cold doors and block the cold wind. Then during the long winter, they draw these things and put it on a screen that they enjoy during the summer. The images about guardians, image about fundamental desire as a human, like longevity, fertility, and good marriages and prosperity, well-being, those images with the symbols, they just uh, put this. I didn't see this fork painting when I was in Korea. I found a book which is published by Japanese publisher. Then I found first time I saw this and page after page, and my heart beat faster and faster. Each page I found these things. I didn't know what is exactly, but I think I see something, I feel something I share with my ancestor as a Korean. So I studied this, the books 100 times maybe. And I find few things, and it definitely have a humor. And it has multiple viewpoints. And if you see the vase, then you can see from the top and side. And it's flower too. You can see the from side and top. And the proportion is not really important to them. The important figure is a bigger, and they drew that way. And also they use a lot of symbols. And as I mentioned, the confusion is really love, you know, pure things, which is white, it was their color, but this for painting, lower class, the aesthetic, taste is colors, abundant, which is, I felt like, I have a lower classes taste, and I don't mind. But I even, find Picasso there. And I try to apply all these things I found, those elements to my work. And at this point, I start draw images. And these images, it's very intuitive and spontaneously drawn images. There's no plan. Sometimes not every day, not every night, but once, I'm in a zone, certain, then I stand in front of the empty paper with the brush and ink. Then I start drawing with the eyes and nose, and images just coming out, It seems like all the images coming out from inside of me. And sometimes I felt like, I vomiting all the images. Then it's kind of, strange, but you surprise. You see some of the images, you never understand why you draw these things. And sometimes I understand some of the images, but when I looking back, there's a lots of guardians. I think, my life was not secure at the time, so I need more guardian as tigers, draw, and dragons and the people and lots of couples, there. And I think, this is all my concerns of my relationship, what I have as a human being, as a teacher, as a family member, and as an artist, as a believer. I have all different kind of angles, relationships and concerns. Then it's coming out as a fundamental. And sometimes there's a daily impacts, then that issues, shows up, pops up. So there's some soldiers coming out. Sometimes there's the Arabic, the figure, suicide bombers, It's all those which is concerns consciously, unconsciously, it shows up. And sometimes, I instantly understand what I draw, this specific, drawings. There's a missionary group, went to Iraq, and Taliban captured them and, decapitate them, few of this. So I draw this instantly, then I know what's gonna happen. But, I put all these drawings on my studio wall, and I in and out and study them and contemplate it. And if I have enough courage or gut, then I select few and make three-dimensional sculpture out of that. And three-dimensional sculpture, to me, there's no front and back and no side. It's all around. And I use, still two-dimensional kind of images. Then I have to push and pull those images and create this three-dimensional sculpture. So I started with the one images or two images, but I don't know what kind of work I'm gonna make until I finish it, and I'm finishing. And there's a lots of figures, and also for long times I thought in my work there's many unknown kind of stories interwoven, and depends on viewer, their cultural and background or ethnic background, how they grew up. They start see one side and go around, and they can create or interpret, their own stories. So that's what I thought for maybe 15, 20 years. And now I am suspicious about that. So I'm wondering, that's not probably I'm really trying to do. But I I'll talk about it later. I mean, but I'm not sure, but I'm still, thinking about it. But that's not the way. So this is the one work, and the other side, and this is other side. This work I made when I visit my friends. He's a painter. His name is Andy Stapto, and in Tennessee. I visited his studio and stayed there for 2 weeks. We collaborate and make work. And when I came back to my studio, I wanted to remember that 2 weeks of my experience with him. So I made this piece. It's a memory of Pikesville. And I'm using maybe 30, 40 different, intense color glazes, which I developed when I was in graduate school. And after that, I, keep adding things. And sometimes, glaze I've been used is kind of naturally disappear. So I have a 30, 40 different, glazes. And first time I collect all the kind of matte, colorful, intense color, glazes. But now I'm using all different kind of textures. So satin, glossy, and matte, all glazes, I'm using it. When you use, this glaze, I'm not using, for a specific, effect. I put, glaze on the top of each other. Some areas, maybe 7, 8 layers. And if, use that, you can recognize what kind of, things gonna happen. So you have to let go. There's uncontrollable things, there, but you have to accept that. And I think, as an artist, everybody, this is probably, commonly another desire as an artist wants to make very unique, work individually. They want to speak their own voice and uniquely. And when I was young, really young, as a student, I thought this is my hypothesis, I'm the one very unique existence in the world. So if I can, understand myself, and somehow I can express myself very honestly, then my work can be very unique. So that hypothesis is pretty quite good, but I don't know how to I understand myself. Then how can I honestly, express myself? That's still a question. That's what I still, you know, um, looking for and find a clue. I'm trying different things, but in my work, everybody seems like more and more, if you do with the certain medium, you want to understand and then you want to control more. And if I can add one more element on the top of that, uncontrollable aspects, then I think, my works can be uniquer. That's what, I had an idea. So I just apply glazes on the top of each other. I'm not, uh, wholly abandoned, but, certain areas, I don't know what's going to happen. I looking for unexpected, actually beyond my imagination. And I fired this, 2400 Fahrenheit. So when I fired this, clay at that temperature is not, like solid, material. It's like a jello. And especially I had a big head, figure, then the gravities, can make move the clay. Sometimes I made a couple, then they divorce during the firing. Then sometimes, I made a friends, but sometimes they kill each other. So it's everything's, happening in during the firing, and mostly not happy, but sometimes I found one beyond my imagination, and that's what I'm looking for as an artist. People think, I'm very, political person. I concerned, and politically, I mean, but I'm not expressed through my artwork. It shows up in my drawings, right? So it concerns my relationship with maybe country and my relationship between society, which is my concerns. It's sometimes shows up. Then I make that. And this called, first start. I think I made this a long time ago. And when we had the word with the Islamic word, and I think it was something wrong, then the images shows up, and I made this is some example would beyond my imagination. It's really funny. When I apply glazes, it's kind of start melting it and kind of fusing it. And because of gravity, it's kind of pulls down and, dripping. Depends on how high I fire, how long I fire. Now all the good colors can be at the puddle at the bottom. So I really excited about the open mic kiln. And I feel sorry for my wife, but sometimes, that's a more exciting time. I can wait. I think, the good work. Recently, this is what I, thinking about it. And I want people can feel something and the more strong, work. I think, that it doesn't really matter what I feel, but that the viewers can feel something out of that. That's my goal recently. I didn't mention about the color, but I don't know why, but it was in the textbook, Korean, textbook when I was a high school. The poem about, Robert Frost, the road not taken. I don't know why. This is not, Korean poem, but it was in the Korean textbook. And there was a small kind of drawings, the yellow wood, but that at the end there's a two path, right? As an artist, I really love the monochromic and earthy, sculpture, which is Stephen D. Stabler, that sculptor. from California, which I really admire when I was young and still. And I had a chance to meet him personally. Then he's the one I really want to follow. His life and his artistic life is a kind of parallel. It's not different. In many cases, we are kind of two lives we have. It's not going same directions, and it's crossover and kind of tangled. And but him, I admire. He's one going. His work is one of the strongest. He is using fragments, and I want to make work like that. But as an artist, I thought about when then I'm going to use the colors. So I intentionally choose my unfavorite path first, the color. And once I sick and tired of that color, then I go back to my favorite paths. So I'm 25 years, I've been, I can't drop this color. I keep using it, at this point. And but back of my head always, there's a knock. When you're gonna do it? So last 2 years ago, I had a show. It's kind of traditional work. I think this I call this exhibition at the La Costa Gallery in Massachusetts, old and new, which is one on the top of it is old work I made, and I don't like much, so I just leave it there. Then I made a new piece for it. So the bottom, half is I recently made, and I put this together, and I glaze it and fire this. And I made a few body of work, and more abstract, not representation. I mean that the form's not there. I just want to make a kind of abstract forms. So I made those, and no glaze, no color, just clay. So I start kind of stepping one step right now with a little bit of courage and black. It's a carbon trap, fire, which is I use a container and that's a burnable material, and I put it in and put piece and sealed it, so the carbon smear to the clay body, so it makes kind of black color. And this is nothing. I just make hollow foam. Then I always has an intention when I make something, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to make without intention. I mean, I don't know. You guys like Seinfeld? Doing nothing. This is what my version of Seinfeld, doing nothing. Then I will change. I mean, I'm not drop out all the color yet, but I'm still kind of evolving. I try to move to my favorite path, hopefully, if I can keep working. And 2012, I think, after I lived in the States for 25 years, I always, one thing I miss, the quality time with my parents. And my parents at the time, my mother was 88. My father was 93. So, but my father was pretty healthy. My mother was not. But I wanted to, spend some time with them. So 6 month kind of residency, so I can spend some time with them. But unfortunately, they passed away 2.5 months before I arrived there. So this, there's a Clayarch Museum Gimhae down south. I was there all by myself at the Christmas time, and no one was around there. But I was there, start, making work. This place is a wonderful museum. They set it up about 20 years ago. about clay and architecture. So if you want to make larger scale works, you can go there and use, and build, works. And they have a beautiful artist residency, which is one building, have a dormitorium and apartment actually, then, all the facility, kiln room, and international programs so you can apply. Uh, the first day, I was there and I thought, what I can do. So I decided to make one work for my parents. That's the work I made. And I have a opportunity to have this wonderful show without my parents. I couldn't make this, happen, probably. And I asked a few assistants actually. So and the museum generously, 3 volunteer, they can help me. Then mostly they do laborious things, for me, which is I'm going to use a few tons of clay and today 2 months. So they just prepare all this and laborious, preparation of clay. So I made 3 sculpture. First I made a monument for parent, which is a 3 sections, pieces. The clay is a different than, what I use here at the States, but I can manage it, it's okay. The color was not white, so I just apply white slick on the top of that to make it. But one thing is I have to dry this one very slowly. Other than that, it's cracked like crazy. So, and 2.5 months I worked because it's so convenient, 4th floor, there's my apartment, I go and take a nap and come back down and anytime and I can make work. And there's 3 assistants to help me, so it was wonderful. And they have a large kiln, so I can make, larger sculpture. And at the end of the 2.5 months, I made this 3 work and let it dry slowly. And once it's all, dried, and I glaze it. And normally I make pretty, well engineered and, make a piece too easy to install. And over there I couldn't do it actually. But so we use some human power, but mostly it's so heavy. So you cannot lift, you don't even think about to lift these things, or use machinery or forklift, that's what, what we're doing. But this one I didn't prepare. So we use human power. We call Chinese way. They made a Great Wall. So after, firing and it's changed like this. One of the advantage, that the clay definitely have limitations and as a medium. You cannot really hard to make large, right? Then also it's, brittle. Even though you fire, you drop it, you bump it, it cracks and, breaks. But one advantage, I think, you can change, surface dramatically. And one firing then makes, wonderful changes compared to any other mediums. So, and plus, there's so many things, can happen, unpredictable things, which I follow. The glaze, has always, puddle at the bottom. So I have to, move and grind with the diamond blade, grinder. And I made this one separately and never set it up. So this is the first time setting up. I'm so excited. I want to see that, what's going to happen. But this is the most exciting time. Can you see the puddle underneath? I kind of invent my own way to separate this well, and how I move and how I load it up and unload it. I think that's my mission. I mean, before me, there's a few artists like a Jun Gyoneko or Vallauris, someone who made large scale works. So I inspired by them. Then I wanted to expand our, expressional boundaries, like them. So I thought, that was my mission as a ceramic artist. Then I probably handed this down to, next generation. But there's a lot of, possibility. I fired this. And the museum generously offered me a solo show. Actually, a retrospect show. It's called Chaos. They came to the state, Georgia, Athens, Georgia, in my studio. They brought some of the large totemite, fire in there, and they brought also their works. So I had a great exhibition next year, 2013, I think. Yeah. So this is a progress view of installation, and then the other things. Luckily, there was at the same time that the international ceramic Biennale in Korea that happened. So all the participants from all of the world, that there's a 3-bus loaded, the people, artists from the world kind of visit my exhibition. The title of exhibition was Chaos. It's a real chaos. And also small porcelain sculptures and mural that I made in China, Jinderjin, China. I don't know you know that place, but they call capital of porcelain, which is over 1,000 years they made a porcelain and exported to all of the world from the Ming Dynasty, which is, I went there, I made this mural, and with my drawings, and some more tiles from almost there. So it's a beautiful museum, actually. If you are an artist, maybe you should want to go and you should apply. There's an international residency program. It's dome, natural lights. And around this, there's some exhibition space too, the second floor too. So this is inspirational, that picture from National Geographic. And I looked this one and where this, young man standing out. It's a Victoria Fall in Zambia. And at the drought season, he can swim to the edge at a hidden rock bed there. So he's taking his breath out. What did I do? So I want to, be standing on the edge. I want to push myself. I'm, getting old, and I think, I'm at the third stage. I mean, when I was 30, I learned, and 60, I, work really hard. Then I don't know how long I can live, but I'm the third stage right now. And last 5 years, I've been really, contemplate and reflect myself. And I want to make sure I'm doing things right or not. And it's the same question I have. And when I was young, I was questioned to myself, am I a good artist? I'm good enough? I'm deep enough, wide enough? I didn't know that, so I tried to answer that questions. But I mean, this stage, I have another questions. I used to work for myself to understand myself, but in the future, I don't want to do that again. Maybe I'll work for somebody else, not for myself, something else. That's my goal. And always, the ceramics is hard and difficult, but there's things I cannot understand fully. So that's a driving force to me. And this video is, I will show you and wrap it up. This still can happen. Then this is my driving force. And about 2 years ago, I had a workshop at the Indiana University for 5 days. And I made this sculpture for 5 days, maybe 50 hours. I finished it. Normally, I donate this piece to the university where I work. Then I need a record. So I asked the students to take this picture, and this thing's happened. Can you hear the laugh? I didn't intend it, but it was a pretty good lesson for everybody. Thank you very much.
I had seen the video for like a split second when he was he didn't put it so, for a split second as he was sharing right before to see if it was working, and I went just like the students did. So thank you so much for sharing all this. Since we are limited with time, I'll open the floor to all of you first for questions. I have some questions for him, but I can always email him. Are there any questions from the audience regarding the work, the lecture, anything while we're here before? Yes. Okay.
Clayarch. Was it greenware that you glazed and fired one time, or was it multiple firings?
No, actually, this. If I make, in the States, because it's just, not completely dry, I put it in a kiln. And because, it's less, dangerous. It's bone dry, then there's a vibration and it'll, crack. But if it's still a little bit wet, and it's better, safer. So I put it in a kiln and dry, and maybe long bisque, maybe 1 week bisque or longer than that, and fire. I couldn't do it over there. Their clay is a different formula they have. So if I dry faster, then it cracked like crazy. So I just wait till more than 1 month to dry really slow and bisque and fired. So bisque and fired, glaze fired.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, David. Wait. Thank you.
Looking at some of your earlier figures, especially kind of the tall, slender individuals, reminded me a bit of some of the sculptures of people like Giacometti. And I'm wondering if you ever think about casting in obviously metal casting, bronze or.
Definitely. It's not, time comes yet, I think. But I saw, some artists, ideas when they were young, like Rosenberg, when they're young, they drew, the ideas for really big. They couldn't do it when they were young. I'm still young, I guess. But, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And especially, these days, artists do many different things. And we used to have different galleries, ceramic galleries. sculptures galleries, painters galleries, but these days all artwork is kind of, fused as a one, right? So the artists also function that way. I mean, they have to draw, they have to perform, they want to, and they have to do many, multiple things, and I always looking forward. Time comes. Bronze is expensive, but if someone asks me, and I do cast some. Actually, I went to Kohler Factory, the residency in Wisconsin, Kohler, Wisconsin. They have a wonderful residency program also, and you can use their factory facility and material. And if you go there, you have to cast everything, make a mold and cast everything. But, I did some, and it's kind of quite interesting process. But if I have a chance, yeah, why not?
Could you save any of it?
Could you save that one? Could you save any of that sculpture?
I think I didn't save it, but they did save some of the head, maybe cut the head and saved few. But I feel really bad for them actually, and it was not my hard work, but that's what they got. 5 days I worked, and normally I donate to the department, but they didn't get much actually because of my stupidity.
Are there any other questions? Well, I'll have one. If there are no more questions, I will jump in and sort of jumping off on the casting question, but why ceramic? What prompted you to do that, to work in ceramics? You draw in ceramic, you've done other things. So
there's a few things maybe. The mediums, the most important thing was medium fits with my character, I think. I'm not the person who plan A to Z. I'm just, jumping, and I'm very spontaneous and very intuitively work. And clay, when it's still wet, you can manipulate, dramatically. And that was kind of fascination, when I first time work with the clay, it was still wet, I can do whatever I want. And also that the material itself very meaningful. I mean, religiously probably. We all know human came from dust and go back to dust, and fire is exciting things. So all this process, I think I really loved, and the other things as I mentioned, it's somehow it's parallel to our life. We do our best, but sometimes things happen wrong, and we still have to go and keep on doing it. So the whole process is, while I'm journeying, but it's pretty meaningful to me. So that's the reason I choose, clay. But yeah.
well, thank you. If there are no more questions, oh, yes, there is. Great, thank you. Maybe you can wrap it up with us. No pressure, no pressure. I can always ask another one.
This might be a very personal question, but when you were speaking, I was thinking about, my family lives in Daegu, and my brother wanted to go to art school, and our dad said, no, you're gonna be an engineer. And so now he's a civil engineer. And I'm wondering how your parents felt about you going to art school, getting a BFA, moving away from home, and if they were supportive of that.
I want to be a baseball player, right? And 70s, right? In Korea, there's no pro ball, and only amateurs, there. Then I was pretty passionate about that. And I was still young, I was a junior high, but I want to play. Then it seems like I play really well, and I can play really, really passionate about that. So I wanted to play, but my father said no. Because he had experience. I have a brother who's 16 years older than me. He was a basketball player, but his future was not bright because of the at the time that the environment or education system, the athletes they didn't educate really well. So after 35 years old, maybe 40 years old, the athletes in the career is done and there's nothing much they can do about it. Then he knows about that. So he said no. Then I couldn't find another, passionate way, right? So I was a wanderer as a teenager. I was really bad. I was an alcoholic. So when I say my father, I want to make art, then he said, okay, you go ahead. So, I mean, he was a great supporter. Then you know what? I didn't notice that when I decided. My father was one of the painter, which is a pretty pioneer in contemporary, painter, someone who studied in the States, and he studied ceramics. So when he came back to 1950s, he started making contemporary ceramics. Then my father was his gallery. So in 60s, he run the galleries, but it was not really good timing. I mean, everybody in 60 in Korea, everybody hard to live in hunger. So no one spent money for, ceramics. So he support, his friends and made a gallery, but it was not successful and his business was not good, right? But around my house, I saw a lot of ceramics actually. I didn't recognize it when I was young, but once I started studying ceramics, then I knew, oh, this is, then he is a very famous person, pioneer as a ceramic artist. Right? And I, saved some of the pot, his pot, and I still have it. But that's another kind of, experience and influence, somehow. Then my father was a art lover too. So when I say I want to be an artist, then he said, okay, it's better than alcoholics. So I was pretty serious actually. So I served 3 years, in the army. I getting, college, but I went to, serve army first because young Korean men, you have to serve army as a duty. Then I did that first. So after 3 years serve, then I become a freshman and find the ceramic and fall in love with it. So I don't know, your maybe brother, maybe he hit the bottom first, then ask about it, right? But wrong. I'm just joking, but
Well, thank you so much. And we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Sunkoo, for joining us this evening. The museum is open until 9, so there's a lot going on around the galleries. The exhibition's still open. There are other things happening, so please take a look and just stay here if you want. Thank you for joining us this evening and have a good evening. Bye.